Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the AFC West show. It was a
Hey!
big week this weekend.
Woo!
Big week, but we do have some breaking news in the AFC West. And Omar, you are the Raiders guy. You are the man. Las Vegas, you were there. You
Woo!
bleed silver and black. Um, Obviously, the breaking news is Josh McDaniels gone,
Uh, yeah,
and
yeah.
also general manager gone. Ziegler, is that his name?
Dave Ziegler and OC Mick Lombardi is gone as well.
Well, I'm going to tell you about. I'm not even going to talk about Lombardi. Let's not. I won't go there with that. But obviously, the firing. We got to start with that, Omar. What from the Raider Nation? I'm going to let you go, and then I'm going to chime in about linking that to the Chargers. But we'll do that later on. But what are your thoughts, Raider Nation, representing it? What do you think?
It's really funny that you say link to the Chargers because a lot of people don't know that within the AFC West there are a lot of links between us as Raiders and you as Chargers, including one coach I will mention in particular, Norv Turner, who was a coach for the Raiders for a couple years. So let me back up for a second because I know that there are many people that are listening because I promoted this show a lot today. And I know they're going to either listen now or they're going to listen later. And I want them to know the history of the Raiders before we get into this. So, first of all, what was the breaking news? Well, the breaking news that Josh McDaniels was fired, as Rob said, Dave Ziegler gone, Mick Lombardi gone, right? The whole crew is broken up. Antonio Pierce, as Rob will talk about it in a little bit, was named interim head coach. Buck Depardy, I believe is his name, or Duparty, I don't remember, was elevated from quarterback coach to offensive coordinator. And Chip Kelly, because he's my UCLA coach, but Champ Kelly, who was a former Bears director player of personnel, was elevated to our interim GM. So what has happened is Mark Davis got fed up to the point where, McDaniels is 9-16 over the past two seasons. He was 11-17 at Denver. So he is the first coach in history to be fired in the first two seasons of coaching a team, which is quite incredible. Because, I mean, back in the day, coaches used to get a lot of leeway. Not anymore, but McDaniels had a lot of faults. But again, we need to start further back, right? So let me give you, and this is really crazy that I looked at this because I already knew, but I wanted to put it into context for the fans that are watching us. In the past 20 years, my friend Rob, for the Raiders, after they went to the Super Bowl in 2002, which, by the way, may God rest his soul, one of my favorite people in the world, Al Davis, decided to trade John Gruden to the Buccaneers, which was a mistake, obviously. In the first year with Bill Callahan after the Super Bowl, right? After Bill Callahan took us to the Super Bowl with John Gruden's team and proceeded to get beat 38-6, which we all quite remember. The following records after that, starting with Bill Callahan that next year, he got fired after 2-7, right? And then after that, you're now moving into other coaches. You're going into 5-11. You're going into 4-12. You're going into 2-14. Now you're moving into Norv Turner, right? Well, he's at 5-11. He's at 8-8, starting to get the team a little back, but then he falls back, right? Now you're moving into the Dennis Allen territory, who we don't appreciate right now in New Orleans as doing a good job, right? You also have Art Shell in there for 1 year. You have all of these. I wanted to avoid this point, Rob, but I'm going to mention it briefly because I do not want to get upset. I do not want to get frustrated, get my heart beat up. We had a period of Lane Kiffin for a year and a half there, and it was probably the worst period of the past 20 years that the Raiders have had. And to be honest with you, we haven't had a better record than 12-4, and that came with Jack Del Rio, who had 2 good years at 12-4 and 10-6, and took us to the playoffs. Mark Davis's fascination and love interest with his boyfriend, and even though emails happened, one of my favorite coaches, John Gruden, right, led him to fire Jack Del Rio, even though you had a playoff team, to bring in John Gruden. But let's be honest, Rob. Let's be real honest, and we've talked about this, but fans may not know. Mark Davis never wanted to fire John Gruden. Yeah. The Raiders fans never wanted John Gruden gone. If it wasn't for emails, which, by the way, damn, I hope I can curse on the show. Damn you, Dan Snyder, and everything that you caused, because these emails leaked from I was about to say their old name, the Washington football team / Commanders and / something else. I used to call them because I'm from D.C. and I called them that all the time. That organization, that's where those emails came from, was him and Bruce Allen, the GM. Had those emails never been exposed through the investigation of Dan Snyder being a piece of, I just really want to piece of crap, we would never heard about Josh Daniels. We would have never heard about Dave Ziegler. We would have never heard about Mick Lombardi as part of the Raiders organization and all this BS with the Patriots West and everything else that ruined. No, we wouldn't have heard of it because John Gruden had a 10-year contract and would still be there right now. He was building a foundation. At least he was a good coach. Yeah, his draft picks may not have been that good, but you know what? Josh McDaniels were worse. But you know what? At least John Gruden knew how to win games. And at least John Gruden knew how to make coaching decisions from 20 years of experience and not bucktailing off of Belichick. I'm going to let you talk for a second. I need to calm down for a second. I'm just going to let you take over. But I got more to say.
Well, I find it interesting, number one, that Davis obviously had a fascination with the Patriots because he went in that direction with McDaniels. And it's funny how quickly that soured, because to bring him in and then not as fast as you said, a season and a half, not even gone. I mean, it's such a quick decision. Now, as I was talking about the paralleling with the Chargers, just to throw this in, and I was kidding around with you before we came on, I wish the Chargers owner had the cojones to do something like this. Like Davis obviously does not care about money. He doesn't care about anything, how it looks. He doesn't care anything because he just does what he wants to do. Reminds me of a lot of one of my favorite, I'm a big Yankee fan. I grew up with George Steinbrenner. So it reminds me, and it fits that mold. The Chargers would never do something like this, even though it's probably more deserving. If there's anybody more deserving to get fired than McDaniel, it's definitely Staley. And he will be here. He will finish out the season. Who knows what will happen at that point in time? But, and I know you got more to talk about, but I want to throw this out at you as a question, because is the reason why, do you think the reason why Davis makes this decision now, is it to get a jump ahead of everybody to now start maybe talking to different coaches, maybe going out and looking at different coaches to maybe bring in at the end of the year? Or is this just like a fly off the cuff, don't give a crap type decision where I'm done with him, he's out, I'll figure it out later? Like, is there some kind of plan? Do you think the Raiders organization has a plan in place? Because if they don't, then this is really not a good scenario that's playing out right now.
As a business owner myself, Rob, I really hope that someone as astute as Mark Davis, right? Not in terms of his haircut, which I like to make fun of all the time, right? He's not very astute in that aim. But he's got to be a very smart man to do what he does and to run an organization. And so when you are a smart businessman, you make the best decisions for your organization, no matter if it's going to hurt you in the short run, as long as it's benefiting you in the long run.
Correct.
And so I want to touch on I want to touch on all the points you said, but I want to really touch on one point in particular. So let me touch on the other two first. The other two is, yes, he does want to get ahead. He thinks Antonio Pierce is one of the hottest coaching candidates, which he was last year in the offseason, and he wants to give him a chance, give Champ Kelly a chance at GM and see how they perform. But is he off the cuff? Of course. Look what he did with Rich Bisaccia, who led us to the playoffs, and he's still fired anyways in order to bring in Patriots West. Which, by the way, if you're not going to bring back, and we'll get into this later because you know how I feel, but if you're not going to bring back Gruden, Rich Bisaccia is a special teams coach in Green Bay. I'm sure he would love a promotion to head coach and be willing to come back, but neither here nor there. It's about stability. It's about how can we become stable as an organization so that our best two records in 20 years is not 12-10, and then everything else is 8-8 or below. Right? I don't want that anymore. And let's be quite honest, if I showed you it, 8-8 was like 2 years. The rest were like 4-12 and 2-14. So I don't want to experience this anymore, but decisions have to be made and things have to be done when things are going wrong. Just like you said you would do with Brandon Staley. It was the same thing that Mark Davis put his foot down and said, this is what I'm going to do and stop this bleeding as it is happening. Have other people come in. Let's start fresh. Aiden O'Connell comes in. He's the new starter. Jimmy Garoppolo is benched. I'm sure you were going to bring that up. I apologize for stepping on your toes. But if Mark Davis is not making decisions to make the organization better, then what you're doing. Now, in the past, we had cash poor Raiders, right? This is what you were alluding to a few minutes ago. Right? When Al Davis was the owner and we were living in Oakland, as the Oakland A's can attest to right now, it's a pretty cash poor city in terms of franchise. Amazing city in terms of American cities, but to hold up franchises and the amount of people that are going to attend games and things like that, it is not the best city, which is why they moved to Las Vegas. But here's the thing that most people don't know. Most people still think of us Raiders as cash poor, but no, sir. Once they moved into Las Vegas and had their $1.9 billion stadium built, right? Now they have all the other shows coming in. Now they have the concerts. Now they have the festivals. Now they have U2 and Celine Dion and all these other people playing, whoever plays in whoever's a residency in Vegas. The Raiders, no one realizes this, led the NFL with $90 million in ticket revenue from Allegiant Stadium in the past year. And the Raiders also led in non-stadium revenue at $70 million. So Mark Davis figured, I got the money now. And I can make these decisions. I can get rid of a coach that I just signed to 6 years and $6 years and $50 million after signing John Gruden to a 10-year, $100 million contract. Hey, Rob, one day I'm going to have this kind of money and I'm going to be able to do these sorts of things, my friend.
I hope so, man. That'd be great. I'll say a prayer for that one.
I won't waste it, though. I tell you that. I won't waste it like this. Jesus,
well, let's segue a little bit into the game on Monday night. Raiders versus Lions. Obviously, the Raiders lost 26-14. Some of the stats that stood out to me, you had mentioned Jimmy G now getting benched. He only threw for 126 yards in that game. There was only 157 yards of total offense.
Horrible.
Omar, man, this is the second week in a row, I think, that your running game was not there. What is going on with Jacobs? I mean, you guys are, not even really trying to do that. Devontae Adams only had one catch for 11 yards. So a lot of reasons why Davis woke up on Tuesday and said, you know what, this is the direction I'm going to go in. I'm not gonna question it too much. But we had mentioned Antonio Pierce coming in. Where do we now start to go? You said obviously Aiden McDonald now quarterbacking. What are some of the things? What needs to be done? What needs to be improved? What needs to be worked on? The trade deadline went. There wasn't really anything done with the Raiders. Nobody was traded. You kept everybody. So where do you think you now start to go from this point?
Well, let me give you two different scenarios here, my friend. One will be what Mark Davis envisioned and what most Raiders fans' pipe dream would be. And the other is what most Raider realistic fans would accept and what the Mark Davis owner should do. So let's start with the pipe dream. The pipe dream would be to bring John Gruden back. He's an assistant in New Orleans. You've heard me stamp for this for a long time. As I mentioned, he never wanted to fire him, and the Raiders fans never wanted him gone, including myself. I realize he said some bad things in some emails. I realize they were, irrehensible and very uncouth and does not make me want to, be friends with him. But as an NFL coach, I want whoever is the best coach, and he is the best coach available. That being said, the other pipe dream would be for Davis to trade and get Derek Carr back and say, hey, you know what? Would you like Jimmy Garoppolo? We'll pay all of Derek Carr's salary difference if you let us bring him back. Neither of those things are probably going to happen. As much as I would want Gruden back, and I would want Carr back, but honestly, Carr is probably a little gone at this point too with his experience with New Orleans, so I don't know that he'd be much better than just going with the rookie at this point. I love Derek Carr and would love him back, but at that salary, you might just want to go with the rookie and see what happens. And that's what the real fans want, and that's what the realistic owners should do. Go with the rookie, play out the season with Antonio Pierce and Champ Kelly, see what happens, see if they make the playoffs, see if they make any improvement at all, right? We only won 5 games last year. I'm sure Mark Davis will be happy anywhere around 7 or 8, even 6 probably. So see what happens. And if it doesn't work, well, then start all over. Blow it all up. Draft one of the top quarterbacks, since we're obviously going to be a top draft pick. If that doesn't work, then you're going to be in the top 10 draft. It's a very quarterback heavy draft in college this year. There's at least I've heard 12 prospects that could go in the first 2 rounds. So there's a lot of good prospects that the Raiders could get if Aiden O'Connell doesn't pan out, or if Antonio Pierce doesn't pan out. Then go back and get Rich Bisaccia. Go back and hire someone else that's new and inventive and is somebody that doesn't have a label, right? The problem with I'm sorry I'm going so long. I apologize, Rob.
Keep going.
The problem with McDaniels is that you were brought in to be an offensive coach. And yet, even in Denver and in the Raiders, let me give you this wild stat I heard. He was the first coach to average under 20 points per game in 2 different franchises, which is why he was fired.
Both.
A great offensive coordinator, right? Although I think Brady and Belichick were the ones that probably lifted him up a little bit. He's probably a great offensive coordinator, but not a head coach. And so we need to bring someone in young that has that potential to possibly be a good head coach, possibly be good on both sides, right? I hate this speciality of coaches. And again, we talked about this, and I get it. I know coaches come up on one side of the ball or the other, but I need someone with a little bit of knowledge on both sides of the ball.
it's funny. I talk about where are they going and what could be, and you kind of laid out what you hope and maybe what reality is. Funny thing is this week you got the Giants, a very winnable game,
Very winnable.
for the very first coaching display with Antonio Pierce, a team he played for way back in the day. The over/under is 37.5. The Raiders are giving 2.5. To me, that's not a bad way. I mean, the Giants do not even have. You know what? It was funny. I picked up the Raiders defense for my fantasy team because, I mean, you look at it, the Giants don't even have a quarterback. So this is a very good week to kind of,
And this is in New York. This is in New York.
I'm not. No, actually, no. I wrote the Giants first. So usually,
if it's at home, I got a Raiders win, then no doubt. But if it's in Giant Stadium, I may be hesitant about calling a win.
Yeah, I don't think it's in Giant Stadium. I think it's at in Las Vegas.
Let me take the scoreboard real quick. But yeah, I would take the Raiders win. That you're not wrong. Yes, it is at home for the Raiders. So I am going to say that the Raiders do win that game. Daniel Jones is out. Saquon Barkley is all they have, and defenses are focusing on him. And as you mentioned, the defense is the best part of this team. The Raiders' offense is the problem. The Raiders' offense is the one that ranks 30th and 31st and 32nd across the board in terms of total points, offensive EPA, offensive yards per average. I saw the whole stat. It was 30 all across the board. It's the defense that is carrying this team to wins.
We do have to talk about some of the other teams.
Yeah, that's fine. I just want to get off my soapbox. I'm so happy. Thank you, Raiders fans, for all the support. The protest worked. McDumbo is gone, and hopefully Staley is next. And
I wish I was as enthusiastic.
I'm sure that's a good segue, though.
It is because obviously the Chargers won against the Bears, 30-13. It was kind of how I described it. I thought it was going to be
pretty much exactly how you described it. I agree.
It was going to be one of these games where Staley looks good. It's a national televised game, and then everybody's going to be like, "Oh, well, hey, now we're starting to turn the corner." It's not that type of way. This was just it was a mirage. The Bears are that bad. Herbert did have a good game, almost 300 yards, 3 touchdown passes. He was 31 for 40. I think he started out like 15 for 15 as far as throwing. So he definitely came out, even with that broken finger, which is, I think, giving him a little bit of issues. But it was a game that the Chargers should have won. They did win. They go to 3-4. And that's all it was. It was the way it was supposed to be, right? In my eyes. I mean, I know you're not a Charger fan, Omar, but like, isn't that kind of like the thought that you got with this game? You're like, all right. It went the way it was.
I mean, I just can't believe that the Chargers have, and again, I'm going to put this in perspective for everyone out there. In my mind, the Raiders have been way worse than the Chargers the past few years. But when I say mediocre, I mean the Chargers have a team poised for greatness. And Brandon Staley can't even milk out a little bit of coconut milk out of his coconut that he's got off the tree. Like, I just don't understand. You're a defensive coach, and your defense is one of the worst in the league. 30th across the board again. Just like I mentioned with the Raiders, I saw similar to the Chargers, but for defense, when I was looking at defensive rankings, they are 30th, 31st, 32nd across the board. But you're a defensive coach. McDaniels is an offensive coach. Why aren't you getting things done? If you're winning poor games like this, which, by the way, the only 3 wins but the Raiders had were against very bad teams, including the Patriots and other teams. So if you're only winning games against bad teams, how can we trust you to win in the playoffs when you don't make good decisions? Now, I know this is your team, and I want you to cook on Staley, but all I can say is that he has not lived up to his defensive potential. He has made horrible decision-making, especially in the playoffs, playing Mike Williams last year in the last game before the playoffs, which I still can never forgive if I was a Chargers fan. And his defense is last ranked everything.
Yeah, it's a joke, Omar. It's a joke. I'm telling you. And if things were right in this world, I'd be waking up tomorrow and I would see online Staley fired. But like I said, that's not how the Chargers are. That's not how this ownership looks at things. The ownership, they strictly make decisions based upon money and checkbooks and all that stuff. Yeah. But it is what it is. Now, we have somebody that chimed in. Derek loves the protest work. The union stood strong.
Hey, my brother, he was the original starter of the protest. Now, you know, Rob, because we have been talking this whole season, you know how I felt preseason, how we wanted to fire McDaniels. So this is Derek Clubs, a friend of mine. He actually started the original protest to fire McDaniels before the year, and it happened. So cheers to you, my friend Derek.
Nice.
And thank you for watching, my brother.
Yes, thank you for watching. But yeah, so I wish that was the case. The Chargers are playing the Jets on Monday Night Football, so this is the second week they have a national televised game. I'm actually going to that game, Omar.
Okay.
I'm taking my son to his very first Charger game.
Yeah.
So awesome. We're going to that Monday night game. The Chargers are giving 3. The over-under is 41.5. I would like to think that this will be a Charger win. I definitely think the offense – I think the offense will be okay against the Jets defense. I know the Jets have a very good defense.
They do. Mm-hmm.
But I also think that the Jets offense will not get the job done and will put their defense back on their heels and put their defense in bad situations. So that's the only reason why I think the Chargers might come out victorious, because of the fact that the defense will do enough to, stop Bryce Hall. I think they'll stop him from being a threat. I think they'll get some pressure on Zach Wilson. The Jets offense will put the Chargers, make the Chargers defense look really good. And essentially, the Chargers, I think it'll kind of be the same way. I'm hoping. So, I would be 28-14 or 28-10, something like that is going to be the way this game goes. Now, of course, I'm going there. I'm going to have to make that drive up the Turnpike, which is one of the worst roads to drive up. I'm going to have to deal with all that traffic.
Wait, are we talking the New Jersey Turnpike?
Yes. Yes. I'm going to have to.
Why are there no exits? Why are there no exits with bathrooms? Why do we have? I don't understand.
I'm going to have to New Jersey Turnpike it all the way up. I'm going to have to sit in traffic. I'm going to have to sit in traffic, get in the parking spot.
Oh, no.
I'm going to have to wait in line to get in. And I still think I'm going to have some kind of disappointment, even worse than all that, with this game. So I like to say it's going to be a Chargers win, but I have this feeling that I'm going through all this for pretty much nothing.
Well, I'll save your feelings. You're not. There's no way they lose this game. Zach Wilson is just too much of a I don't want to say a bad quarterback. He's just not good. He's going to be a career backup is what he's going to be. And they're wasting Garrett Wilson's talent. They're wasting Breece Hall's talent. They have completely wasted their signing of Dalvin Cook. They're completely wasting their defense and their offensive line. If we're to be honest, they have a good trenches there with the Jets, but that's not going to matter enough. If this was an early game with the Chargers going like 12 o'clock, I would say they would lose, but it's a night game. I say the Chargers win. I wouldn't say 14. I'm probably going to say 7 or 10. They probably win
Yeah, I'm trying to stay positive. You know, I the evil side of me was hoping that they would actually lose to the Bears and then lose to the Jets, because then I thought that
I
was
mean, if that would have happened, then
I
Staley
thought
really
that was
would
going
have
to be
been
the ultimate, like, not, get out of here to Staley. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. The Broncos have a bye this week. They have a bye this week, the Broncos,
good for them.
but they came off of a very, very good win, beating the Chiefs 24-9. Beating the Chiefs with Russell Wilson throwing for 114 yards only, but 3 touchdown passes. Mahomes 241, 2 interceptions. Chiefs only had 275 yards total offense, only 62 yards rushing. They're definitely gone away from the rushing game. Andy Reid is now having pass in his head. So you got that going on for them now. So that's a little discouraging. Plus you had Patrick Mahomes not feeling well. And we talked about this on the late night show that I did Sunday night after the game. Patrick Mahomes not feeling well is not necessarily the best, doesn't have the best medicine of flying all the way over to Germany. That's not necessarily the best medicine for somebody who's sick to get in a plane and have to fly to Germany. So a lot of things going on. First, what were your thoughts of this game? And do you think it was more of the Broncos playing at an elevated level, or the Chiefs playing down at a bad level?
Yeah. Excuse me. Let me clear my throat before I have to talk about both of these teams. I don't know how you talk about them so clearly without hurting yourself. But it was a combination of both the things you said. Okay. So all you Broncos fans out there, including Hot Take Jake, stop your excitement. Okay. One win means nothing. As I always say, as my father, Ruben Fonseca, taught me, shout out Ruben, he's probably watching right now, any given Sunday. And that's what can happen. And especially when you have, as you mentioned, Patrick too many people that have played good with a sickness. I don't even like going out of my house when I'm sick. I mean, he's not. We think Patrick Mahomes is the Michael Jordan of football, and Michael Jordan had his flu game, but he is, alas, no Michael Jordan, and that's okay because not many people are. But Patrick Mahomes had a down game. The whole team had a down game. As you mentioned, they can't run the ball. Isaiah Pacheco is their best runner. Jerick McKinnon is not doing anything. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not doing anything. They have no receiving core whatsoever. Thankfully, they have the rookie, Rashee Rice, I believe is his name, Rashee Rice, who has actually stepped up. But, I mean, McCole Hardman isn't doing anything, traded back from the Jets. Kadarius Toney isn't doing anything. They're well in deceived receiving core has been a complete bust. And so that's what's happened. They can't run the ball. They can't throw the ball. And if you have nothing when Patrick Mahomes is sick and Travis Kelce is injured, well, the Chiefs are just like the Raiders, Chargers, and Broncos.
They do come down a lot when you throw out that scenario like that, definitely. Now, the Chiefs are obviously, like I said, flying over to Germany. They're playing the Dolphins in Germany. Coming off this loss, this could be, obviously there's 2 scenarios. This loss will kick them in the pants, and they'll end up coming out and taking it to the Dolphins, or this loss kind of lags over and kind of stays with them and puts them into a little bit of a funk. And they go over to Germany, and the Dolphins, with that high-powered offense, goes out and and put some points on the board. Chiefs only scoring 9 points last week. They're going to have to score a lot more than 9 this week against the Dolphins.
Yeah. You know what? You have read my mind all day, Rob. And shout out to my brother Derek Clubs, who has chimed in a couple of times on this podcast. Thank you. It is a celebration. He's his brother, who is my combat sports and UFC insider, Clubber D, the Combat G. He was the one that so astutely pointed out that Patrick Mahomes is going to have trouble going across the pond, as you mentioned this week, while having a flu. What about, and I then mentioned, and I feel like I'm pretty smart about this, I then mentioned, well, what about Travis Kelce with sore knees? That doesn't feel good, being stiff on a flight 20 hours across an ocean. So I'm with you. I actually have the Dolphins winning this game, the high-powered Dolphins. Yep, I do.
They win that game. That drops the Chiefs to 6-3. Obviously, when you look at the rest of our teams, I mean, there's really not a team that can really.
No one wants to win this. What's going on?
Nobody wants to win it, but nobody's going to jump up and do anything to the Chiefs. So even if they do drop down to 6-3, it's not that big of a deal, unfortunately. But it's
unfortunately for us three, sorry teams. Yeah.
But like I said, I mean, there's still stuff for me, being a Charger fan, to get excited for. Obviously, there's a lot for Raiders fans this year, this week. Like you guys have been saying, it's a celebration tonight. And right now, Denver's got to be pretty happy too. So you got 3 teams that are pretty happy right now. And obviously one team that's a little unsure of what's going on. Should be interesting this week coming up.
What's funny, Rob? Is one thing I learned early on in life in sports, and I know that you can attest to this, and I know that some of our fans out there will be able to agree with this. But happiness in sports is very short-lived.
Oh, yeah. It's like a fleeting moment. Yep.
Because especially in football, and that's the least, right? In baseball, basketball, you can lose every day. So you kind of get used to it. But in football, it's like we only got 17 weeks, and each loss means so much to the team. So.
Yeah, I mean, and you know what it is too. It's they only play 1 game a week. So when you have that bad week, that bad week,
you gotta deal with it.
7 days. Yeah. I'm a big basketball fan. I love it. I watch basketball more than I do football. I'm going to admit to that. But you don't have that with basketball. Team loses. Maybe
on to the next day.
Next day or next 2, they bounce back, have a good win. I'm a big Sixers fan, so for me, that first game, that was a tight game against the Bucks. They lost.
I didn't notice you said Sixers last time because I'm a Celtics fan. I did not.
Okay, but then they came back and won. I actually picked the Celtics to. My son and I have a show on the Let's Talk Sports Network.
Yeah, get that out. Yes.
It is. We talk about the NBA, and our very first week we made predictions, and my prediction was for Boston to make it to the finals. I had Boston.
We've been looking really good, Rob. We've been looking really.
I thought the addition of Drew Holiday was going to, not to segue this into a basketball show.
Hey, I'm sure they like it. They like it. Hey.
But yeah, I thought Drew Holiday was definitely an upgrade from Marcus Smart, and Porzingis looks like he's got something left in the tank. If he does, that's a very formidable team right there. And so
dude, if he can stay healthy, he spreads the floor like none other that I've seen. So Jason Tatum can shoot the 3 ball or shoot jumpers like he wants, and Jaylen Brown can drive to the hoop like he wants, and Porzingis can just set up in the post or outside, and Jrue Holiday, it's such a fluid offense. It's something like I've never seen since probably think back to the Phoenix Suns when they had Steve Nash and what was the other Stoudemire, and what was the Marion.
Sean Marion.
Yeah.
No, hey, listen, I agree with you. And yeah, like I said, we don't mean to throw this into basketball. This just goes to show you how our three teams are, or at least two of our teams are, that we're more excited about basketball probably right now. But
Hey, it's okay. This is Let's Talk Sports. I hope all of y'all like sports.
yes, yes. But like I said, I do like watching basketball more than I do like watching football. And unfortunately, the reason why I think is just because I'm just now so desensitized to losing
Mm-hmm.
that it's kind of like, you know what? It's like it's just like another week, you know what I mean? And even when you win, like I said, this Bears win, you can't get that excited for it because you know it's just a mirage. And
Well,
it's a shame, you know, it's a shame because I can't tell you how many years and how many times I've said, hey, you know what? This could lead to a streak, or this could get us 5 wins in a row, or this could do this, and you know what? Once in a very small, minute time period, it does go that way. I mean, there was that time, I believe, when the year they went to the Super Bowl, the Chargers, they went on a nice run, had a bunch of wins, and then obviously that 2006 season where they were 14-2, they were winning. But other than that, you always say, what could have been, and I know everybody on this network likes to say the Chargers will charge, and that's not a good thing. But it is what it is, and like I said, I'm kind of desensitized to it now. So,
well, I'll tell you one thing. At least the Chargers won't Raider. And you know what? As much as I hate every team in the AFC West, including the Chargers, I will tell you one thing. No team in the AFC West has experienced what the Raiders have experienced in the past 20 years, and that's no fault of our own. But we've had 20 years of 2, 4, 6 wins. And I hate to not empathize with you, but y'all have been a lot better than we have the past 20 years. So
yeah, but Omar, you know what? I'm going to argue with you with one thing, and then we can wrap things up. It's just as bad to me to be 8-8 every single year than it is to be 2-14.
wow.
I'm sorry. At least 2-14. At least I know I'm getting some good draft picks. Being 8-8 puts me in the middle every freaking year.
Well, you know what, Rob? You didn't have to insult our team's drafting ability as well.
No,
We've already done enough of that.
no. I'm just saying. At least when you're 2-14 and the season's over, you have something to look forward to in the draft.
Right. But when you have a chance to make the playoffs. So
yeah, but it's just it's always 8-8. It's always 7-9. It's just
that's the thing.
Right around that level. And that's just how it is. And it's just like it's bad. A couple of years there, the Chargers were really bad. And, they got the 4th or 5th pick. And look what happened when they got those type of picks. They got generational talent. They got to pick LaDainian Tomlinson at 5 one year.
Yeah, Bosa.
Look what happened. Look what happened with Bosa. And then you got Philip Rivers with the 5. So, when you had the ability to be down that look, I was very excited because of the draft and who we got and everything. But now
you're just making me feel worse, okay?
Well, I'm just saying it's something to look forward to me. That's how I look at it. And I don't like being 7-9 and 8-8 and just being in the middle of the pack. It's like it's the same mentality, not to go back to the basketball mentality, but it was the same mentality a lot of these basketball teams have. Do you really always want to constantly be the 8th and 7th and 6th seed every single year in the playoffs? No, you don't.
I know Wizards fans don't agree with that. So.
Yeah, no, I don't want to be the 6th and 7th seed every single year because I know what my fate's going to be and I know how it's going to be. I'd rather, if I'm going to go down, I'm going to go down and let me get the most ping pong balls and get a chance to do something, generational again. But it's bad to be that middle of the road.
And you know what my issue is with that as well, with the Raiders, is that Champ Kelly, much props to him for getting the job. He's not been more than director of player personnel before. So how do we know he can actually be a GM in this league? And he's not going to get the chance to show that because GMs don't have to do very much. I shouldn't say that. That sounds very bad. I did not mean to take away from their jobs, but most of their work is done during the off season with, stuff like that. So, can he even do it? The one that can show is Antonio Pierce.
Right. Yep. And he has less than 2 years experience in the NFL.
Wow. Really? I didn't know that. I thought he had more than that. Okay. All right.
Not in the NFL. He was a college coach for a couple of years, but he's only 45 years old, but only 2 NFL seasons as a coach.
Wow. Okay. Well, we'll see what he got.
Yep. Well, all right. So Omar, what do you got going on this week? What's going to make everybody stop and listen?
Hey, the Bottom Line Sports. You definitely got to be checking us out every week. We are coming with the hottest hot takes that you can think of. You got Hot Take Jake himself, Flo, the master plan. You got Statman Can, and yours truly, the sports professor. So we go on every Sunday night in partnership with obviously Let's Talk Sports. So you can check us out on Let's Talk Sports. You can check us out on at the Bottom Line Sports, or you can check us out on my sports network at Ball and Buds, BALLANDBUDS. And we go on Sunday nights at 7 to recap all the day games in the NFL and preview the night games. And then our main show is Tuesday when we do all of the other sports. We review Monday night, preview football for the next week, and then go through college football, MLB, NBA, NHL, and anything else that you can think of. So
very, very cool. Well, I got, as I had mentioned, we do a show with my son, the Logan's Talk the NBA. We'll be doing that towards the end of the week. And I am also on every Sunday night, late night. I might skip this one just because I'm going to have a long day that next day with going to the Chargers game. So I might put the hosting stick in, turn that over to Johnny C and Alan over there and let them bang out that last game, because that's actually going to be a very good game. I believe it's the it's the Bills game, right? It's the Bills game. I think that's
on Sunday night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it's the Bills and the who are they playing? Jeez Louise, I don't even remember. Hold on, let me look it up. Let's see, NFL scoreboard.
Yeah, because I think that's a good game Sunday night.
Let's see, we have Bills and Bengals. Yep, very good game. Very good game.
And actually, too, another good game this week, which locally is real big for me. Eagles Cowboys.
Yes, very big game. Very, very big game. Those two are the biggest games of the weekend, actually, and the Dolphins Chiefs, obviously, would be the top 3 games of the weekend. I don't think they're really. Oh no, let's not forget. I'm looking now at the schedule. Seahawks and Ravens is going to be a good game as well. So
it's going to be a very great week of football. So please, everybody who watches football, please go on to the Let's Talk Sports Network and subscribe. Hit the like button. Hit the notification buttons. Hit the notification button. We'll let you know when our shows are going on, so you can then track your favorite shows. There's tons of different shows on the Let's Talk Sports Network. Great host. You got Nick Botkins. You got Johnny C. You got Scott Cope. You got Alan. You got so many great hosts. You got Omar and those guys doing the Bottom Line Sports. I mean, it is packed to be able to watch all these.
So did you and Nick, the Jets fan, talk game this week, or?
Well, no, Nick's a Green Bay fan. Nick's a Green Bay fan. There are a couple of Jet fans that are on this network, but I don't really. We don't really cross paths that much. The only one I really used to actually cross paths with, Jet fan wise, was Dan. We don't really. I try to stay away from the Jets. Oh, we got to throw this up real quick, Omar, right there. From the Bottom Line Sports, Down goes McDaniels.
Down goes McDaniels. Down goes McDaniels.
Oh, and he's talking about Nick from what is that? IOW?
Oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yeah, my bad.
Oh, okay. I was talking about somebody else. All right. So yeah. Okay. So anyway,
hey, we're all part of the same family. Go watch.
We are part of the same family. I have been distant from Jet fans. I will tell you that.
I don't blame you. I don't like the Jets or the Giants, so whatever.
All right, Omar. It was, as always, very good time talking to you.
Thank you, my brother.
Time flew by. All the celebration that you guys are doing. Continue to do that celebration this week. Hopefully for a win for you guys against the Giants. And good luck with everything. And everybody, thank you for watching. And we will see you next week. Take care.
Raiders!